Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday, February 25th. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I thought we'd take step beyond where I was yesterday on, you know, where the outdoor power equipment field is headed and what does that mean for mom and pop shops like you and I mostly. So, as I take and I look at my crystal ball, I'll tell you what's going to happen in the future. Stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is a weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of February of 2026. So yesterday we talked about how all the big manufacturers for the outdoor power equipment are all focused on green. They're phasing out pistons, rings, gas, everything. And they're pushing for everything either all electric, all battery, all hybrids that are both. But once they get the battery technology down, I think you're going to see them phase out the hybrids as long as they can keep the charge on the other ones. So, what does that mean for people like you and I? What I can say is that in my lifetime, at least in this area, you're going to see mostly gas engines. And why is that? Because the technology is there, but the price point is there as well. And people in my area can't afford to step out and pay stupid money for a battery operated zero turn when they can pay half and get a gas powered one. I mean, it's all about the economy, stupid. Where should your shop be gearing right now for the future? So like I was telling you in the beginning, is I looked at my crystal ball. I guess I have a crystal ball that tells me everything. If I. Had a brain. And the crystal ball is saying if we do not adapt now, we will be phased out shortly. I mean, that's is simply put. Does my crystal ball get wrong once in a while? Yeah, but not often. It's business sense. Business sense says if you're doing floor planning and you're a mom and pop and you're struggling to keep going, you need to invest heavily in battery. Okay? In the battery technology stuff, whether it be the newer DeWalt string trimmers and weed whackers, blowers, what have you. What I can tell you is the biggest problem with where we're going is instead of where our bread and butter is to do a service, change the oil, spark plugs, fuel filter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Battery operated doesn't need to have all that done. It's less maintenance. But with what happens with less maintenance is what's the longevity of that piece of equipment? And then you're going to find that we're going to become parts replacers. And I know that's the biggest thing that we talk about here. We say, oh, the young people, they got computers and all they are is parts replacers. No, those younger people are smart. They adapted to the computers when they first came out. They were right on the edge of everything. And it just points them into a general direction of what to do next, where a regular mechanic couldn't diagnose it. Us old guys, we can call the young guys parts replacers, but try to do their job, working on these newer vehicles. Even Claude admits that he can't. It's not his forte. There's just too much stuff going on being controlled by a computer. And if you don't have that knowledge and ability, you aren't going to work on stuff because you can't. You're just going to sit there scratching your head. So, like with a lot of this stuff that's coming out, you've got the boards on them, circuit boards. And from what I understand so far is that it's cheaper just to go buy a new board than it is to try to fix the old board. So if something goes wrong, a lot of times it's right on the circuitry board. So you just swap the board out, put a new board in, kick them loose. Here's the other issue that I'm hearing about is proprietorship. And that is, we've had this for a while in the farming industry that I'm in. One of the reasons I stay away from the new stuff is that you can't work on your own stuff. They won't give you that information to work on your own stuff. They don't give you what the codes are. You might get somebody that's, telling you on YouTube or something, but if you have a John Deere and it's a newer machine and it's throwing codes, there's no program that small engine repair shops like mine that are not a John Deere dealer can have access to. We can't get that proprietary repair. And farmers have cried foul now for years with all the newer tractors, all computerized, and that they can't do anything to their own stuff to fix it because John Deere I'm not trying to single them out because there's more than just John Deere, will not sell them. I mean, they've been willing to buy it, sell them the program to put on their laptops to plug into their own tractors that they paid $200,000 and $300,000 for to try to diagnose what the issue is, instead of having a John Deere tech come out every time something isn't working right. If you're out in the middle of the field at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to get crops in, you aren't going to get a John Deere tech to mosey on out of their little bed and go to where that tractor is. But if a farmer had the program, he could plug it in and troubleshoot it and maybe get it back up and going within half an hour to an hour. They're going to do it. See, one of the things that most people don't realize, I don't want to get off on a tangent either, is that farming is 24/7. And it is. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it doesn't matter which industry you're in. Whether you're a grain farmer, whether you're a dairy farmer, whether you're a beef farmer, everything is at risk all the time. And you have to maintain, if you're going to try to make a living at it, you need to maintain as much of your own equipment as possible, because farmers can't afford, when there's problems, to send that tractor away. They rely on that tractor to either feed the beef cows or feed the dairy cows, or, there's so many things that go on a farm. Back when we had the dairy farm, I was in my early 20s, and I can remember 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning getting up and going out to the barn and checking on some of the mama cows that were getting close to having calves to make sure that everything was all right. And there were nights that I had chains on the front feet of calves because they were big, laying in crap trying to pull that calf out. And I did quite a few times, I guess. Helped and assisted the mom. That's what I mean by it's a 24/7. You're constantly checking on your animals, not because you're looking at dollar signs, but because they're your animals. They're part of your family. Yes, they're either going to give you milk or they're going to give you beef, hamburger in the freezer. One or the other. But that still doesn't mean you can't treat your animals right. And every farmer is a steward of the land and of the cattle and animals around it, whether they into chickens, pigs, what have you. I know, went off on a tangent, right? But one of the things that I was reading is with that proprietorship, what smaller mom and pops can do, that's the crystal ball talking, is focus on one or two brands. decide what it is that you like. Like if it were in my case, I would look at everything DeWalt has out there in the outdoor power equipment. What do they have out there other than tools? What do they have out there? Like, do they have, the saws, trimmers, you name it. And when you do that and you floor plan that group, they normally will give you that software to work on their own stuff because you're only handling their stuff. A lot of them don't like to be sitting next to each other. They don't like competition. And we ran into that with a John Deere dealership years ago, that they were the father and partner started the John Deere dealership, and then the partner passed away and the other one bought the family out, their side. And they continue with that. Well, as the boys started getting older, I grew up with the boys. As the boys started getting older, they wanted to expand out, because there's only just so much of the pie with a dealership, right? So as you start trying to bring in more people, especially offspring, it gets more expensive, right? Because everybody wants a paycheck. So you either have to expand or tell the kids to go find another job somewhere else, right? So they decided they want to get into the Bobcat. And they also want to get into club car for golf carts. All right? Sounds good so far, right? Well, John Deere and Bobcat both had cows when they found out that they wanted to have them on the same lot. You had like John Deere's this side of the lot. From here is Bobcat's on that side. And Bobcat sells some beautiful compact equipment and zero turns and all that, just like John Deere does. But one of the sons was running the Bobcat side. And then they got into the golf carts with a club car because of a friend of theirs had a golf course and they found out how much they were charging for leasing them for the year. And they started leasing out golf carts as well. But they told them that, okay, they can sit on the same property, but you have to have two different storefronts. One has to be Bobcat and the other one has to be John Deere. Which is odd because when Steele and John Deere got into bed together, they had no problem having the Steels in with the John Deere stuff. But Bobcat and John Deere said no to having. So what they actually ended up doing was they built another storefront. And they kind of played it this way. The smaller storefront was for lawn and garden, and the bigger storefront was for agricultural tractors and all that. And they built the third location about 3.5, 4 miles away and took all their Bobcats up to there. And they started a rental business of renting out equipment, skid steers, mini excavators, and stuff like that. But they've done very well for themselves out there. They sold all the John Deere stuff eventually and kept the Bobcat. And by the way, Bobcat, one of the boys had a daughter that had cancer, brain cancer, and passed away. And Bobcat stepped in and helped out that family. They bought this farm in around the area where they're at anyways. And they remodeled the house, and they wanted a place for people that had kids with cancer could come get away from the doctors, hospitals, and all that, just to get away for a week. And they had trails and they had all this other stuff. Well, Bobcat stepped up and helped pay for a lot of that, the walking paths and this and that. And it's a good company. Let's put it that way. But you have to specialize somewhere because pretty quick they're all going to be about the same, okay? But you get to choose the brand that, I always say, sell what you believe in. if you don't believe in it, you're not going to be a very good salesman. And with me, DeWalt is my go-to. We use DeWalt all the time, and not only at the shop, but even on the home front. On the farm here, I use all DeWalts. And why do I use all DeWalts? Because they proved themselves. I mean, I told you guys about the battery operated impact, that we couldn't find. Somewhere it got lost, and come to find out it fell into a pail of hydraulic fluid, and we didn't see it until the following day when we were putting the hydraulic fluid back into the tractor. And Claude just took an air hose and blew it out the best that he could. We air dried it. A couple days later, I threw a battery in it, and I'm still using it. So people can tell me about other brands, but if it's a little bit more money, but not really. I think DeWalt is very reasonable compared to everybody else too. But they will last. And since I've had my 20-volt DeWalts, I've only had one battery go bad out of 6. So it's pretty good. So if you're going to want to be able to work on this stuff and get the programs proprietaryship, you're going to have to pick a brand and stick with a brand and sell that brand. And then when it comes to what do you do in the off time when you're not replacing circuit boards, you could sharpen blades. And then you're going to have to set up, like battery charging systems for the ionized lithium ion batteries. And there are dangers there. They've had batteries blow up. So now you have to have a whole different fire extinguisher system in the building. So if they explode, so that it contains it. In the comments, what do you think? Are you adapting? I can tell you on my own home front, we're on our last leg. Claude and I are. I mean, I got less years ahead of me than I have behind me. If I were younger, I would be pivoting right now. Because the earlier you get in on it, the better off I think you are. You can try to fight it off, but if the public is willing to spend money on the robotic AI-driven mowers, or the battery operated mowers, the hybrids, you need to sell what people in your area want. That's called capitalism. If you stock a bunch of stuff that nobody wants, that's not business. So give that some thought. And then in the comments, you guys that do have shops, are you pivoting? The only thing that's kind of saving grace for Claude and I are we haven't been all lawn and garden for years. And I just picked up 2 more tractor jobs yesterday by working, texting, and interacting with people. Nobody's left that can fix the old tractors, which is good for us, I guess. Everybody wants it yesterday. But in the comments, are you pivoting, or are you just going to ride out till the sunset? On that note, you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning.